As more and more companies hop on the AI train in what seems like a panic game of musical chairs, the implication is that they're all investing in the future. It's a future where machines do most of the work, if not all of it, and the executives sit back and reap the rewards, patting themselves on the back for having such keen foresight. That might not be what's happening. In fact, it just might be actual panic driving the decisions in those executive boardrooms right now. Think about it for a minute. Artificial intelligence isn't really new by any stretch of the imagination. AI has been scaring the job prospects out of blue-collar and white-collar workers alike for decades now. And machine learning, robotics, driverless cars, cashierless checkouts, all these have been pretty commonplace for a while. So why now? And why ChatGPT or generative AI? What's got everyone falling all over themselves to be the prime mover in this somewhat innocuous leg of the AI race? Is the future really going to be about slightly better chatbots and deepfake porn? That got me thinking. Maybe it's not a bet on the future. Maybe it's a not so distant early warning. Maybe it's the end of SaaS. Remember Compaq? Probably not, and that's my point. Compaq is maybe the best example of the most successful desktop PC maker, one of the first laptop makers to completely miss the onset of mobile computing. Apple, Dell, even HP all got the message that an immobile computing box was no longer going to cut it. Compaq was dead before the iPhone arrived, absorbed by HP and known from then on for budget laptops. Did Compaq miss a shift in form factor? Not really. What it missed was the onset of the home broadband connection via Wi-Fi, which wouldn't be in full swing until some years later. See, dial-up was still a thing, so software designers started sacrificing their UX and their UI to fit that smaller screen, the thinner client, the narrower UI pipe. So why do I bring this up? Because there were also companies that fully missed the boat on mobile. Hardware companies like Microsoft were too late to the game, and their phones were wannabe flops. Software companies like, well, Microsoft, still have very much a desktop-first approach to their offerings. And again, this didn't have to do with the size of the screen or the form factor of the device. Well, it did, but it was mostly about user interface, and primarily user input. That's what I believe is driving the panic in the adoption of generative AI. It's not the thickness of the client or the size of the screen. It's that those concepts are on the way out altogether. Users don't want another screen. That's a sentence that's worked its way into my product advisory lexicon over the last several years. And as time has gone on, I've been hearing and saying it more and more. The pushback against yet another screen is the first domino, and it's falling. It's telling, though, that the push is for fewer screens and not fewer apps. Any software screen generator will tell you that the usefulness of the output of their software is directly related to the level of detail they can collect from the user. It's no secret that as the shift to mobile first became more prevalent, text input continued to be replaced by taps, choices, sliders, even voice. Sure, no one likes a mobile keyboard, but the truth is, no one likes input. And this is the shift that means that something as relatively simple as Gen AI can make a huge difference. It's not the tech that fills in the gaps in the pixels of an AI-generated image. It's the tech that fills in the gaps in the context of the prompt for that image. So a few weeks ago, I had coffee with a friend who wanted to show me his app. His idea is solid, exciting even. The use case is a problem that definitely needs a solution, and the industry is loaded with stupid money. I mean, check, check, check. Then he showed me the app, and I figuratively threw up all over it. To his credit, the app took in a lot of input from the user in a very simple touch, tap, slide way. Then the app took that data, and everyone else's data, and aggregated it and crunched it all and returned way too much data back. Admittedly, my friend comes from the long, long ago software development days. What he had produced was the equivalent of a business intelligence system that didn't solve the problem, but rearranged the data so that the problem had more context and could be easily solved by humans. This is what BI systems do, which is why they're all scrambling for Gen AI. I know this because they keep calling me. So then I asked him the first thing that popped into my head. Can you get all those beautifully animated charts and graphs down to a single sentence recommendation? Which, no coincidence, is exactly what Gen AI does. He looked at me like I asked him to grow a second head. I'm onto something. Elegance has always been at the forefront of innovative software. The next generation of business and personal applications won't need to spit screens of data back to the user or any kind of feedback. They'll just do what you ask them to do. Think of Gen AI as a stepping stone. You ask a question, you get an answer, you use that answer to formulate a decision. The next level of AI makes decisions for you based on what it has learned about what you would have done. That's the intriguing and admittedly scary part of AI, and it might just mean the end of software as we know it today. Hey, this is sort of a bonus post. It's a post that I wrote a while ago that while I had some time in between cranking out new posts for the publications that I write for, I decided to record a video for this particular article. Why? Because it was one of the articles that got a ton of feedback, both positive and negative, when it was originally published in Inc. and in Medium. The feedback that I got was positive in the sense that there were some future-looking people who did realize that what I was saying is the days of SaaS are numbered, not over, but numbered. It's closer than you think. Is directly due, not necessarily due to Gen AI, but I think Gen AI is the catalyst that is pushing something that at Automated Insights we were working back in 2010, 2011, 2012, where our software didn't produce content for you to read so much as made decisions and gave options and put those options and decisions in front of you for you to select. Now, that's not the computer thinking for you. That's the computer crunching the data and putting that into something easily understandable that you can pick from. This is what business intelligence software does today, but it does it with charts and graphs and data that the user then has to extrapolate into their own scenario to make their own decisions. Our processing power in both speed and time and the volume of data that we now collect about everything that happens around us has allowed us to use the computer to actually put the options of a decision in front of us. Those options are robust, they're sort of fact-checked, they're ready to be selected. It's still up to you, the user of the software, to make the right decision, but those decisions don't have to be sort of vague and charty and graphy and spinny, and like you're just going to have words in front of you. Now, soon, and we're seeing this today in driverless cars and things like that, those decisions will be made for you. There's two parts to artificial intelligence, the part that does the thinking and the part that does the acting. An autonomous vehicle is a great marriage of both of those things, whether or not they run people over aside. But an autonomous vehicle does all the thinking, taking in millions to billions of points of data per second and making decisions in the probably hundreds and thousands of decisions per second, and then acting on those decisions to move the vehicle without killing anybody, hopefully. So that's what you got. I did get some pushback. I rewrote a little bit of this because I think I didn't make my point clear about Compaq in the original article, but I did today. One of my first laptops, which was a beast, it was less a laptop, more of a I can move this computer from place to place, was a Compaq laptop. I was a huge fan. I had an iPad at one point, but what they missed, the iPad and all the Microsoft things had the stylus that you had to use. I think that was the thing, that the user did not want a stylus. The user did not want to go to that level to tap on keyboard keys to go to a keyboard. It's one of the reasons the BlackBerry was a crackberry. It's one of the reasons the iPhone succeeded where other phones, mobile phones at that time, smartphones, mini computers, did not. And hey, since we're talking innovation, let's talk about Teaching Startup. It's a way you can support me and become a better entrepreneur at the same time. Teaching Startup provides access to actionable, insightful, and honest startup advice for entrepreneurs at all experience levels, regardless of their connections or resources. You get access to over 700 questions, answers, posts, and polls asked by our members and answered by hand-picked experts like me. It's 80% of the benefit of a startup advisor at about 2% of the cost. So if you liked the video, thank you for watching it. Please like it or subscribe it or whatever. But if you want to support what I'm doing, you can help me help you by becoming a member at teachingstartup.com. I appreciate you. Now go do great things.